The morning sun rose over Lagos, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold. But inside the sprawling Adebyo mansion, the atmosphere was as cold as the marble floors. Chief Adebyo, a man whose wealth was as vast as the ocean and whose temper was as unpredictable as a storm, sat at the head of the dining table, his stern eyes scanning the morning newspapers. "Where is my coffee?" His voice boomed, echoing through the lavish dining room adorned with expensive African art and crystal chandeliers. Three pairs of eyes immediately dropped to their plates. His children, two sons and a daughter, knew better than to meet their father's gaze when he was in such a mood. "Ada," Chief called out, his voice cutting through the tense silence. "My coffee." A young woman in her early 20s appeared from the kitchen, moving with a quiet grace that seemed out of place in the opulent setting. Ada carried a silver tray with a steaming cup of coffee, prepared exactly as the chief preferred, black, with 2 sugars, no cream. "Good morning, sir," she said softly, placing the cup before him. Chief Adebyo didn't acknowledge her. His attention was already back on the financial reports spread across the table. But as Ada turned to leave, his eyes lingered on her for a moment longer than necessary. There was something about her, something in her eyes, in the way she carried herself, that always stirred something deep within him. A memory, perhaps, a ghost from his past. From the other end of the table, his children watched with barely concealed contempt. "Can you believe father prefers her coffee to what we make?" whispered Tund, the eldest son, to his sister, a househelp's daughter. "Quiet," warned Funk, the only daughter. "You know how he gets." The third sibling, Deo, simply smirked. "Let him have his favorite. Soon, all of this will be ours anyway." They were the picture of modern African wealth, educated abroad, dressed in designer clothes, and completely disconnected from the struggles of ordinary people. Tund, 28, had just returned from studying business in London. Funk, 26, was a socialite who cared more about her Instagram followers than her family's business. And Deo, 25, spent more time in nightclubs than in the office. Their morning ritual was interrupted by the arrival of Mr. Bello, Chief Adebyo's lawyer and most trusted advisor. "Chief," Mr. Bello greeted respectfully, "the documents are ready for signing." Chief Adebyo nodded, his sharp eyes missing nothing. "Good. Children," he addressed his 3 heirs. "Today you will begin learning the business from the ground up. Tund, you'll start in the logistics department, Funk marketing, Deo operations." The 3 siblings exchanged horrified looks. "Father," Tund protested, "with all due respect, we've been to the best schools. We shouldn't have to start at the bottom like common employees." Chief Adebyo's eyes turned to steel. "I built this empire from nothing. My father was a fisherman. I sold newspapers on the streets of Lagos before I could afford shoes. You will learn this business from the ground up, or you will have no part in it." The silence that followed was heavier than the expensive chandelier hanging above them. As the family moved to the study for their meeting, Ada began clearing the breakfast table. Her movements were efficient, practiced. She'd been working in the Adebyo household since she was 16, helping her mother, who had been the family's house help for 20 years. In the kitchen, Ada's mother, Mama Nkechi, was washing dishes, her hands wrinkled from years of hard work. "How was he this morning?" Mama Nkechi asked without turning around. "The same," Ada replied quietly. "The children are starting in the business today." A shadow crossed Mama Nkechi's face. "Be careful around them, Ada, especially Tund. I don't trust him." Ada nodded, though she didn't fully understand her mother's warning. She had dreams of her own, dreams of becoming a doctor, of helping people in the rural villages where medical care was scarce. She'd been top of her class in school, earning a scholarship to study medicine at the University of Lagos. But when her mother fell ill last year, Ada had to put her dreams on hold to help with medical bills. Later that afternoon, as Ada was tending to the garden, she heard raised voices coming from Chief Adebyo's study. The window was slightly open, and the words carried clearly in the quiet evening air. "It's not fair, Father," Tund was saying. "We're your children, we should be executives, not interns." "Tund is right," Funk joined in. "What will people say, the Adebyo children working in junior positions?" Chief Adebyo's response was cold. "What will people say? They will say that the Adebyo children earned their positions. Or would you prefer they say you inherited what you didn't work for?" Deo's voice was more calculating. "Father, perhaps we could start in middle management. It would look better for the company image." "There will be no discussion," Chief Adebyo's voice cut through their complaints. "You will start where I did, at the bottom, or you will find your own paths." Ada moved away from the window, not wanting to eavesdrop. But as she turned, she came face to face with Tund, who had stormed out of the study. "Enjoying the show," he sneered, his eyes burning with anger. "Our family drama entertains you, doesn't it?" "No, sir," Ada said quietly, looking at the ground. Tund stepped closer, his voice dropping to a menacing whisper. "Remember your place, Househelp's daughter. No matter what my father thinks of you, you will always be just the help." He brushed past her roughly, making her stumble. As she regained her balance, Ada noticed something fall from Tund's pocket, a small, expensive-looking USB drive. She picked it up, intending to return it to him, but he was already gone. That evening, as Chief Adebyo was working late in his study, he noticed Ada cleaning the hallway. "Ada," he called out unexpectedly, "come here." She entered the study nervously. "Yes, sir." Chief Adebyo was looking at an old photograph on his desk. "Do you know who this is?" he asked, showing her the picture of a beautiful young woman with kind eyes and a bright smile. "No, sir," Ada replied, though the woman looked strangely familiar. "My first love," Chief Adebyo said, his voice unusually soft. "Her name was Nkechi. She disappeared from my life many years ago." He looked intently at Ada. "You have her eyes." Ada didn't know what to say. She'd never seen the chief so vulnerable. "Sir, I found this earlier," she said, remembering the USB drive. "It fell from Tund's pocket." Chief Adebyo took the drive, his expression turning grim. "Thank you, Ada, you may go." As Ada left the study, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Little did she know that the USB drive contained evidence that would shatter the Adebyo family, forever proof that Tund had been embezzling from the company for months. And even less did she know that the woman in the photograph, the chief's lost love, was her own mother. The discovery of the USB drive ignited a storm in Chief Adebyo's heart that even the worst Lagos thunder couldn't match. For 3 days, he locked himself in his study, emerging only for brief moments that left the household staff trembling with fear. The air in the mansion grew thick with unspoken tension, like the heavy stillness before a hurricane makes landfall. On the 4th morning, Chief Adebyo emerged from his seclusion, his face carved from stone. He summoned his children to the study, the same room where generations of Adebyo family decisions had been made, where business empires were built and futures were sealed. Tund entered first, arrogance dripping from his designer suit like expensive cologne. "Finally decided to see reason, Father," he said, taking his favorite leather chair without waiting for an invitation. Funk followed, scrolling through her phone, barely looking up. "I hope this is quick, Father. I have a spa appointment at the Four Seasons." Deo slouched in last, smelling faintly of last night's champagne. "What's the emergency? Did the stock market crash or something?" Chief Adebyo stood by the window, watching the morning light dance on the swimming pool outside. When he turned to face them, his eyes held a cold fire they had never seen before. "Sit," he commanded, and for the first time, all 3 siblings immediately obeyed. He placed the USB drive on the mahogany desk between them. "Does anyone recognize this?" Tund's face paled slightly, but he recovered quickly. "Should I?" "I found it," Chief Adebyo said quietly. Or rather, Ada found it after you dropped it. Funk rolled her eyes. That Househelp's daughter. Father, why do you keep trusting that girl? She's probably planting evidence too. Silence, the chief's voice cracked like thunder. This drive contains financial records, company money being funneled into offshore accounts. Millions of naira, my money. The room went so quiet they could hear the grandfather clock ticking in the hallway. Tund forced a laugh. This is ridiculous. Are you taking the word of a servant over your own son? Chief Adebio pressed a button on his desk. Mr. Bello. The lawyer entered, carrying a stack of documents. We've traced the transactions, Chief. The money leads back to shell companies registered in Tund's name. Funk stood up, her phone forgotten. Tund, is this true? Deo actually looked awake for the first time in years. Brother, you've been stealing from us. It's not stealing, Tund exploded, his composure shattering. It's what I'm owed. I'm the eldest. I should be running this company, not begging for scraps. Chief Adebio looked at his son with something worse than anger, disappointment. I built this company with these hands, he said, holding up his work-roughened palms. I started with nothing but determination and integrity. You have everything and it's still not enough. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Ada was helping her mother prepare lunch. Mama Nkechi moved slowly, her arthritis making every movement painful. You should sit, Mama, Ada said gently. Let me finish. No, child, Mama Nkechi insisted. Work keeps me honest. She paused, watching her daughter. Ada, there's something I need to tell you about your father. Before she could continue, screams erupted from the study. The sound of breaking glass echoed through the mansion. This is unfair, Tund was shouting. After everything I've done for this family. Ada and her mother exchanged worried looks. They could hear Chief Adebio's voice, calm but deadly. You will return every naira you stole. You will resign from the company, and you will leave this house tonight. Funk burst into tears. Father, no, he's your son. Was he acting like my son when he was stealing from me? Chief Adebio's voice was ice. From all of us. That evening, as Tund packed his bags under the watchful eyes of security, Chief Adebio did something unexpected. He asked to speak with Mama Nkechi alone in the garden. The old house help approached her employer with her head bowed, as she had for 20 years. You called for me, sir. Chief Adebio was holding the old photograph again. Nkechi, he said softly, using her first name for the first time in decades. Why didn't you tell me? Mama Nkechi's hands began to tremble. Tell you what, sir? About Ada, he said, his voice breaking. About our daughter. The truth hung between them in the twilight air, a secret 22 years in the making. Tears filled Mama Nkechi's eyes. How did you know? The DNA test, Chief Adebio said. I had it done after I saw the resemblance, after I realized why I've always felt connected to her. Mama Nkechi sank onto a garden bench, the weight of her secret finally lifting. I was young. You were engaged to another woman. Your family would never have accepted a poor girl from the village. When I found out I was pregnant, I thought it was better this way. Chief Adebio sat beside her, the powerful billionaire suddenly looking like a vulnerable old man. All these years, my daughter growing up in my house, and I never knew. I tried to tell you once, Mama Nkechi whispered, but your wife had just passed away. You were grieving. It never felt like the right time. Inside the house, Ada was cleaning the study when she found the DNA test results on Chief Adebio's desk. As she read the words probability of paternity, 99.99%, her world tilted on its axis. She stumbled back, the paper falling from her numb fingers. The wealthy, powerful man she had served for years was her father. The mother she loved and respected had kept this secret her entire life. Just then, Chief Adebio and Mama Nkechi entered the study, their faces telling Ada everything she needed to know. The chief looked at Ada, really looked at her, seeing for the first time the daughter he never knew he had. The same eyes as the woman he once loved. The same determined set to her jaw that he saw in the mirror every morning. "Ada," he began, his voice thick with emotion. But before he could continue, Tund burst into the room, his face twisted with rage. "I knew it," he screamed, pointing at Ada. "I knew she was after our inheritance. Now she's convinced you she's your daughter. This is her scheme with her mother to take everything." Funk and Deo crowded in behind him, their faces reflecting the same betrayal and anger. "It all makes sense now," Funk spat. "Why you always favored her, why you trusted her more than your own children." Chief Adebio stood tall, his protective instincts surging forward for the daughter he had just found. "Enough!" he roared, his voice echoing with a power that made everyone freeze. "This is not a scheme. This is the truth. Ada is my blood, and she will be treated with respect in this house." He turned to Ada, his eyes softening. "My daughter," he said, the words feeling both strange and right on his tongue. But Ada could only stare at the man she had called sir her entire life, at the mother who had kept the biggest secret of her life, and at the siblings who looked at her with pure hatred. In that moment, the poor househelp's daughter disappeared, and the heiress to the Adebio empire was born. The revelation hung in the study like thick Lagos smog, choking everyone in the room. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The only sound was the frantic beating of hearts, some filled with rage, others with shock, and one young woman's heart breaking into 1,000 pieces. Ada stood frozen, her world collapsing and rebuilding itself in the same breath. The man she had served coffee to every morning, the man whose shoes she had polished, whose house she had cleaned, was her father. The truth felt like a physical blow, knocking the air from her lungs. Tund was the first to break the silence. A bitter, ugly laugh escaped his lips. "So this is your game, old man," he spat, his eyes burning with hatred. "You disown your real children for this servant." Funk's perfectly made-up face contorted in horror. "My friends, what will they say? That my father replaced us with the househelp's daughter." She looked at Ada as if she were something dirty, something disgusting. Deo simply shook his head, a cruel smile playing on his lips. "Well played, Ada, well played. You and your mother planned this perfectly, didn't you?" "Stop it," Chief Adebio's voice cut through their venom like a knife. "None of this was planned. None of this was schemed. This is the truth and you will accept it." But Ada found her voice soft but firm. "I didn't know," she whispered, her eyes filled with tears. "Mama, you never told me." Mama Nkechi reached for her daughter, but Ada stepped back, the betrayal too fresh, too painful. "I wanted to protect you," Mama Nkechi pleaded. "I thought I was doing what was best." "What's best?" Ada's voice broke. "Growing up fatherless, watching other children with their fathers while I wondered why mine abandoned us, working in this house like a servant when I was actually family." The word family hung in the air, tasting bitter on her tongue. Chief Adebio's face crumpled. "Ada, please, let me explain." But the damage was done. The foundation of lies had crumbled, and everyone was falling through the cracks. That night, the Adebio mansion became a war zone. Tund, Funk, and Deo held an emergency meeting in the library, their voices hushed but furious. "We can't let this happen," Tund hissed, packing like a caged animal. "She'll get everything, our inheritance, our birthright." Funk wiped her tears, her socialite composure completely shattered. "Did you see how father looked at her? Like she was the daughter he always wanted, like we were disappointments." Deo, usually the least concerned, actually looked worried. "If she gets a share, that's millions gone from each of us, maybe billions." Meanwhile, in the servants' quarters, Ada faced her mother. The small room that had always been their sanctuary now felt like a prison. "Why, Mama?" Ada asked, the pain evident in every word. "All these years, why?" Mama Nkechi sat on the edge of the bed, looking older than her years. When I was young, your father and I were deeply in love, but his family, they had arranged a marriage with a wealthy woman from another prominent family. When I got pregnant, his mother came to see me. She paused, the memory still painful after all these years. She said I would ruin his future, that a poor village girl could never be the wife of an Adebyo heir. She offered me money to disappear. Ada stared at her mother in horror. You took it. No, Mama Nkecha's eyes flashed with rare anger. I refused, but then she threatened you, said she would make sure you never had a good life, so I ran. I came to Lagos, got a job as a house help in his house because it was the only place I knew you'd be safe. And all these years working here, watching him with his other children, while I cleaned their rooms. Ada couldn't finish the sentence. I tried to tell him so many times, Mama Nkecha whispered, but the timing was never right. First his marriage, then his wife's death. I was scared, Ada, scared of losing you. The next morning, Chief Adebyo made an announcement that shook the household to its core. From today, he declared at the breakfast table, Ada will no longer perform any household duties. She will move into the guest suite next to my room, and she will begin learning the business immediately. The china cup in Funk's hand shattered on the marble floor. You can't be serious. I have never been more serious, Chief Adebyo said calmly. My daughter will take her rightful place in this family. But Ada surprised everyone. No, she said quietly. All eyes turned to her. I appreciate the gesture, she continued, her voice growing stronger. But I won't move rooms, I won't stop helping Mama, and I don't want special treatment. Chief Adebyo looked puzzled. But you're my daughter, you should live like it. I've lived my whole life as Ada, the househelp's daughter, she said. I need time to figure out who Ada, the chief's daughter, is supposed to be. Her words shamed the spoiled siblings sitting around the table. While they had been fighting for privileges, she was fighting for her identity. Later that day, Chief Adebyo asked Ada to join him in the study. He showed her photographs of her grandmother, his mother, and Ada gasped. The resemblance was uncanny. You have her strength, Chief Adebyo said softly. She was a trader in the market. She raised 6 children while my father was away. She would have loved you. For the first time, Ada saw the man behind the billionaire, a father who had missed his daughter's first steps, her first words, her graduation. I'm sorry, he whispered, his eyes glistening, for all the years I missed. The tender moment was shattered when Mr. Bello rushed in, his face pale. Chief, we have a problem, the lawyer said urgently. Tund has emptied 3 company accounts, over 5 billion naira. He's gone. The hunt for the missing heir and the stolen money began, but Ada had a more immediate concern. Her mother had collapsed, the stress of the revelations proving too much for her weakened heart. As Ada sat by her mother's hospital bed, holding her hand, she realized that wealth and family names meant nothing compared to the woman who had sacrificed everything for her. The poor househelp's daughter had become an heiress, but she was about to learn that some treasures couldn't be bought with billions. The private hospital room was too white, too sterile, too quiet. The only sounds were the steady beeping of the heart monitor and Mama Nkecha's labored breathing. Ada held her mother's hand, the same hand that had washed countless dishes, scrubbed endless floors, and comforted her through every childhood fear. Now it felt fragile, like ancient parchment that might crumble at any moment. Don't leave me, Mama, Ada whispered, tears streaming down her face. Not now, not when I've just found out the truth. But Mama Nkecha's eyes remained closed, her body fighting a battle that had been 22 years in the making. The hospital door opened and Chief Adebyo entered, his usual commanding presence diminished by worry. He stood awkwardly by the bed, looking at the woman he once loved and the daughter he never knew he had. The doctors say it's stress-induced cardiomyopathy, he said quietly. Broken heart syndrome. Ada looked up, her eyes blazing with sudden anger. Whose fault is that? Yours. your children's, hers for keeping the secret, or mine for existing. Don't say that, Chief Adebio said, his voice rough with emotion. Your existence is the greatest gift she ever gave me. Just then Mr. Bello entered with urgent news. We found Tund. He's in Ghana trying to transfer the stolen funds to Switzerland. The authorities are moving in now. But Chief Adebio surprised everyone. Call them off. Sir, Mr. Bello looked confused. Let him go, the chief said, his shoulders slumping. The money doesn't matter, my family, what's left of it, matters more. Meanwhile, across town, Funk and Deo were facing their own crisis. With Tund gone and their inheritance uncertain, the reality of their situation was sinking in. Without father's money, we're nothing, Funk whispered, staring at her maxed-out credit cards. My friends, they only liked me because of the money. Deo, for the first time in his life, was actually thinking about getting a job. Maybe we were wrong about Ada. Back at the hospital, a miracle happened. Mama Nkechi's eyes fluttered open. Ada, she whispered weakly. I'm here, Mama, Ada said, squeezing her hand. Listen to me, Mama Nkechi said, her voice gaining strength. Don't let this family break you. Don't let money change who you are. You were special long before you were an heiress. It was in that moment that Ada made her decision. 2 weeks later, the Adebio mansion witnessed a transformation nobody could have predicted. Tund had been located and, after returning most of the stolen funds, had checked into rehab. Funk and Deo had started working entry-level jobs in the company, for real this time. But the biggest surprise came when Chief Adebio called a family meeting in the study. I've made a decision about my will, he announced. The business will be split equally among all 4 of my children. The room fell silent, then Ada spoke up. No, she said firmly. All eyes turned to her. I don't want it, Ada continued. I don't want the money, I don't want the business. Chief Adebio looked stunned. But it's your birthright. My birthright, Ada said, her voice clear and strong, is to become a doctor, to help people like Mama who can't afford health care, to build clinics in villages where children die from preventable diseases. She looked at her half-siblings. The business should stay with the 3 of you. It's what you know. It's what you've been prepared for. Funk and Deo stared at her in disbelief. Tund, who had joined via video call from rehab, looked equally shocked. But Chief Adebio began. I'll take one thing, Ada said, smiling for the first time in weeks. I'll take the Adebio name, and I'll make you proud by using it to help others, not just to accumulate wealth. In that moment, something shifted in the room. The greed, the jealousy, the anger, it all melted away, replaced by something resembling respect. Funk was the first to speak. I could help with the medical foundation. I'm good at organizing events, fundraising. Deo nodded slowly. And I could handle the business side, make sure the clinics are sustainable. Even Tund from the screen mumbled, I could. I don't know, maybe learn to actually contribute something meaningful. Chief Adebio looked at his children, all 4 of them, and saw not heirs fighting over an empire, but a family finally finding its way. 6 months later, the Adebio Medical Foundation opened its first clinic in a rural village. Ada, now a scholarship student at the University of Lagos Medical School, stood beside her father as they cut the ribbon. Mama Nkechi, healthy and strong again, watched with tears in her eyes. The secret that had burdened her for so long had finally set them all free. As the village children sang songs of welcome, Chief Adebio put his arm around his daughter. You were right, he said. This is better than any business empire. Ada smiled, looking at the happy faces around them. This was the inheritance I always wanted, Father. Not money, not power, but purpose. The househelp's daughter had indeed become an heiress, but not of wealth. She had inherited something far more valuable, a father's love, a mother's strength, and the power to change countless lives. And in the end, that was the greatest fortune of all.